Our third economic question is, who do you produce for? And this is a real tough question to answer. Basically, there are two main thoughts about this. One is you have a system which is more like the United States, a more free market system. We're not completely free market, but a more open market, a free market system where you produce for the people who have money. So who can pay, they can buy more goods. So you are producing for the consumers who can pay, and therefore the consumers with more money are allowed to buy more. This would allow for the companies that do the best, well, they're going to sell more, so they're going to keep succeeding, is the belief on that. So the more money you have, the more buying power you have. Another question, though, is a different kind of system, which would be, should we distribute wealth and goods, and should we try to do it evenly? Should we, the government try to make an economic system that's fair? That for the people who don't have as much money, should there be a system that gives them more goods or gives them the ability to have more goods? So the two economic systems that you produce for the two main questions are, the two extremes are, one extreme would be that we just produce purely for those who can buy. And the other would be that we distribute totally even. Now an economic system inside a government, they need to make a decision that, what are they going to be? Most places in the world have taken a middle ground between these two extremes. And we're going to talk more about this as we go on. Our economic goals. There are 7 economic goals. We're going to go through these slide by slide. So you can write these down now if you want. You don't have to, though. They're going to be economic freedom, efficiency, equity, security, stability, and growth. And these are the goals that all economic systems have. So all of these 7 goals are what like an economic system wants to achieve. However, getting one, for example, economic freedom, might mean that you have less economic equity. Do you want to focus more on having security? Well, that could affect you in growth. So we'll see that these are 7 of the goals that economic systems have, and different economic systems value different goals. Let's look at economic freedom. Economic freedom is about being free to do what you want. It is giving you the complete money, how you want to spend your money, what do you want to do with it. This is economic freedom. Now, economic freedom has to do with the marketplace. It will allow people to succeed. It will also allow people to fail as needed. It gives consumers the freedoms to buy what they want, to change jobs if they want, to join unions, to go on strikes. It also gives freedom to establish new businesses, to decide what you're going to produce, what the production's going to be, how do you want to produce it. We see here a picture. We have a restaurant. Like the story of America, we see many different restaurants in America. Many of them are started by immigrant communities. Here we see what looks to be a father and a son who are running a restaurant. More than likely, we've seen this story before. The father comes, has the freedom to start a restaurant. It might make it, it might not. And if he makes it, he has the freedom to pass it on to his son or his family. Now, when it comes to this freedom, it's about choice. But then we have a question that, how are taxes affected into this? When you're taxed more, most economists would argue that you actually have less freedom because you don't have control of your money. So the more freedom you tend to have means you probably have less regulations. And there's probably less regulations how you can run your business, how you can start your business. There's probably also less tax money taken away to be distributed to people who aren't doing so well. So economic freedom is the freedom to succeed, the freedom to make choices with your money without limits being put on it, without regulations being put on it, without taxes. So people who argue for more economic freedom usually argue for less taxes. The reason they would argue for less taxes is because they say when you're free to spend your money, the economy would work better. And people would be free to start their own businesses, free to have their own jobs. There is another argument, though, that some people say that government policies may free some people to take greater advantage of opportunities. Therefore, if you distribute wealth to people who don't have money, they're going to have more freedom because they have more choices, they have more money in what they can do.